I want to call this first little segment we're doing, and I'm going to do a breakout video of this. So if you ever want to see certain parts of it, you'll be a separate video out there for you. But I'm going to call this first one Grading Caleb. And let me tell you off the top, I really wish that I had the ability to show you guys the all 22. I go and find it, and then after I go and find it, I then watch it every single pass play, every single game he plays. And so I literally break it down from top to bottom. So I did that today. And so we're going to talk about grading Caleb. And I'm going to tell you off the top, what I did was I kind of try to keep it really simple. I grade every single play, pass play, based off what Caleb is doing, not what the result of the play necessarily is, but what Caleb does, the decisions he makes. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the play call. He's got to run what's been called, but his execution, what he sees, that's what I'm grading. So I grade every single play from a scale of 1 to 10, right? So anything under a 6 is probably not a good play at all. Anything under a 4.5 is like, oh my God, what's really going on? But anything from 4 to 6 is like, this probably wasn't a very good play. So you don't want to stack too many of those, right? And so if I give him a 10, that means I think he did everything he was supposed to do that play. Doesn't matter. Sometimes it's really simple. It's a real quick check down. Sometimes it's a play like a little pitch to Olamide Zaccheaus that we saw that went for a touchdown on Sunday. But all we can ask Caleb to do is do what he's asked to do each play, right? So all of that stated, the Bears ran 41 pass plays yesterday. And of those 41 pass plays with Caleb throwing the ball. Of those 41 pass plays, he got a lot of green on my board, which in green is when you get a 10. There are some red plays, and red is anything essentially that was under a 6. I gave him a red. Anything between a 6 and a 10, I left uncolored. So his average score and what I would grade him for the entire day was about a 7.6. 7.6 out of 10. And so what I asked myself was, what I thought at the time that I watched the game, does it align with what I feel like I saw after I looked at all of the all 22? And I would say it did. I would have probably said about 7.5 after what I saw, because I thought he played much better in the second half. And I think me watching the all 22 kind of showed that. But I also thought in the first half, he was pretty shaky. So I thought that was interesting. So what I'm going to show you out, like I said, I wish I could show you footage. We're working on that to see what exactly the parameters are for that, because I don't want to get strikes and all of that. But I'm going to show you this here, which is I'm hoping you can actually see that decently. But this is the chart that I created as looking at each play. And I'm not going to get into everything too deep, but red is bad. Green is good. No color is okay, right? So if you look at the red, one thing you notice with the red here, these are the bad plays. These are like, they're little chunks, right? So in a lot of instances, sometimes there is killing an entire drive is what you're seeing. But you see the stretches of green and no color are pretty consistent, right? But I'm going to look at a couple of these, right? I got one. The first bad play was, I thought it was early in the first quarter. Poorly thrown ball was too far ahead of the receiver. He had, I believe this was Cole Kmet. He had Cole Kmet coming on a route, and it was the right decision, but Cole Kmet had to stretch out, and actually the ball could have been thrown accurately. He wouldn't need it to stretch out. He actually kind of did that a couple times with Cole Kmet. The second time was unfortunate for Cole. The next bad play I have is here, which is poorly thrown, wrong decision, and Monangai had to dive to catch it. That was the play when Monangai flows out left. He throws the ball to Monangai as a check down. He held it too long, first and foremost. He had another receiver that was wide open, and then the ball wasn't even thrown accurately. So that's a 4 I gave him there. I gave him a 4. Monangai caught it, and it was a completion, but it was in spite of what Caleb did. The next play I thought was just bad altogether. This is one of the worst plays of the game for Caleb. This is early in the game. Throws the ball to a covered receiver. It's behind him, and the ball's not obviously pass is not completed. This was, I believe, a third down. He had Travis Homer coming wide open out of the backfield. Did not hit him. I'm going to tell you, from what I watched, I would tell you that he has no confidence in Travis Homer. Caleb Williams has no confidence in Travis Homer. He was open several times, didn't get a single target, never got the ball thrown to him. When Travis Homer comes in, and for whatever reason, it feels like Caleb Williams tells himself, okay, he's not an option, even though he's out there. I understand Travis Homer is not freaking LaDainian Tomlinson, but if he's only out there on the field, he's got to get the ball if he's open. So he's wide open out the outfield. He doesn't out of the backfield. He doesn't get the ball. There was a pump fake option. He could have gone to a Dunze. He could have pump fake to a Dunze, which would have left the Lamadé Zaccheaus wide open. He didn't do either of those. And we end up throwing a ball to a covered receiver. The next bad play here was, I think, probably the worst play of the game for him. It's the only one that was worse than that last one. And you notice it all comes in a chunk, right? But it came after the pitch to Zaccheaus for the touchdown. So that's just a little forward pitch. This is the next possession. Open receiver, he held it too long, ends up taking an unnecessary sack, scrambling around, gets tripped up. He does that probably at least once or twice a game. All right, now you see it's a big string of positive plays. Big string of positive plays. Even having an excellent throw here, which I think was the little floating ball over the top that DJ caught over the shoulder. All right, now we get to a bad section. Here, 4.5, held the ball and inaccurate. He threw it like Britton Brown had to jump like this to try to catch it. The ball's way to his left. The next play, he misses all of his checkdowns entirely, ends up having to throw the ball away. Here, the next play, he should have stepped up. Now, this was in the red zone. Bears, I believe, had set up for a field goal here. He's in the red zone, should have stepped up, not running side to side, because that's the one thing about Caleb that I see with his pocket presence or the lack thereof. He very rarely steps up. And you see some of the best quarterbacks who have great pocket presence. Drew Brees comes to my mind immediately. Not anywhere near as athletic as Caleb Williams, but he had really good sense of when to step up in the pocket, step back, just a little subtle moves that buys you enough time to get the ball off. When Caleb feels pressure, he immediately turns to escape, or he dips left or he dips right, which puts him in scramble mode. And it also, most importantly, takes his eyes off the field, downfield. And so he bails left, right, whatever. And the thing of it is a lot of times if he's bailing like that, it might be the best thing for him to do is just run, but he doesn't. He bails around loud and then tries to get his eyes back downfield, which a lot of times doesn't work, okay? So after that, we had another great section, a really good section for him. Again, this one I gave a 6. He scrambled and got a few, but Homer was wide open. It was a plus play, so I didn't bash him there. And then here, this is actually the last drive on the touchdown drive that took Holston Loveland that won the game. The first play, he doesn't see Zaccheaus wide open. Incomplete pass. Throws the ball elsewhere. The next play, completely misses his checkdowns. Ends up throwing an incomplete pass. I understand what he was doing. He's thinking it was only 54 seconds left when we got possession of the ball. So I don't want to throw a lot of short passes. We only got one timeout. I think they had 2 timeouts to use the first one after the first completion or whatever. We're low in time. So we trying to get bigger plays. I get it. But what he ended up getting out of that was the ball not moving at all. Obviously, we know what happened, but those first 2 downs on that drive were kind of missed. So he did have receivers open on his next play, but he had a really nice scramble that set up the touchdown pass. So I gave him a 7 there because he got so far down the field. And then, of course, we have the game winner, which I give him a 10. So I'm telling you guys, overall, I don't think that he had a bad game at all, right? And that's kind of how I felt after I watched it. I was like, I would say 7, 7.5. So when I saw my grades come out as an average of 7.6, I was like, yes, that's pretty indicative of what I would say the kind of game that he had on Sunday. And obviously it all gets better because they get the victory.